This episode is brought to you by the future. Oatly had experts look into the future, which is totally possible, by the way, and then report back about what things will taste like when we get there. Learn about bold ideas, the dawn of decaf, and the rise of fibre in the Future of Taste report on Oatly.com.
My name is Kirk Pearson. Welcome back to the coffee show, and I'm here with George Howell, the man himself, someone everyone who listens to this podcast would know I've idolized for a very long time. We've just been through the roastery and cupped some coffees that are tasting absolutely amazing. You've showed me through your freezers. It's an honor to be here. Welcome to the coffee show.
Thank you, Kirk.
This has been a milestone. I emailed you, I think, I've been hitting you up on Instagram for a few weeks before I came, and some mutual connections of ours, Jess up at Nemesis Coffee in Vancouver gave me your email, so
say hi.
Yeah, no, well, he'll be listening to this, but he's a legend. So yeah, it's an honor to be here, and thank you so much for having me and accepting the invitation.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. It's us who really love coffee, it's so important to communicate. Mm-hmm. It's all about communicating.
It really is, and it's
what it is.
And you taking the time to do this is an opportunity for someone else on the other end listening. So once again, I'm very grateful. But I want to start with let's talk about some Kenyan coffee, because you've got a reputation abroad for your love for Kenyan coffee and your commitment to it. And we're currently drinking some Mamuto Estate.
Yes.
And it tastes phenomenal. So you and I
we're still working on it.
We're still working on it.
I'm getting this roast right. This is the new harvest that we just got in a month ago.
But this is an interesting thing you say, because you still have these unbelievably high standards for all of your coffee.
Yeah. Roasting is still an inexact craft. And, especially in the Northeast, where you're dealing with climate. One day it's really hot and humid, and the next day it's dry, back and forth. It's very hard to control. Mm-hmm. So that is something that really is an obsession, is to get more and more control on roasting it. So with the Mamuto, we've had it for a few weeks now. We're still aiming to get the body, the sweetness, and the blackberry at their height, all of them at the same time.
You're 81 years old now.
Yeah.
You've been in the coffee industry for just over 50 years, right. if my numbers are correct.
Yep.
And
they are.
You still have a much higher standard of quality than most junior roasters these days do.
Yep.
Is that an obsession of yours?
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Because you're still in amongst the team, in the trenches, tasting everything.
Yep.
And even still, like this to me is a very, very good cup of coffee. And you're saying it can be better.
Yeah, I'm not happy yet. I mean, it's good. I like it. But there are ways I could criticize this as well. Right, in terms of what I want more. I want a little bit more body. I want the sweetness going into the aftertaste even longer, and it can be done.
But I guess one of the reasons that you probably say that is because you've got so many years of trying this coffee. It's like a library of flavors.
Yeah, I know what it can be like.
And to contextualize this a little bit as well, the Kenyan coffee's had a bit of a quality dip, so to speak, in the last 5 to 6 years.
Oh, yeah.
And you're taking some pretty substantial measures to try and address that as well.
Very much so. I mean, this is a concern I started having already when I had my first company, The Coffee Connection, in the late 80s and early 90s, where I started visiting Kenya. And then there was a competition set up where we were cupping at that time. Let me back up. At that time, all Kenya coffee sold through an auction system, period, by law. So it enabled me to actually cup coffees that then were put on auction the following week. And I was very privileged and very lucky to be the first to basically be able to say, I love this coffee, and I'll pay sky's the limit. So I always got the coffee I wanted. Mm-hmm. End of story.
Yeah.
Right? So the 12 lots that I had were the best. End of story. But it was this flavor that's so special to Kenya coffee was available. Many co-ops were producing it, some better than others, but it was there and it was normal. And it was a time where Kenya coffee, my understanding is that was the highest priced, quote, commercial coffee there was in the world at the time. And for good reason.
This is pre-Panama Geisha and all that sort of stuff.
Yes, exactly right. And so, but it was a time also that climate change was rearing its ugly head. And rightfully so, the Kenyan authorities were looking for new varieties that could handle climate change. The problem was that things were going too fast. In my opinion, and the Ruiru 11 that they were coming out with did not have that flavor note. And so the fear was, yes, you can replace the SL28 and SL34, which are so prone to disease and rust and all these issues, but you will lose the very thing that makes your coffee valuable. So what do you tell these small farmers? They may have 200 trees, 300 trees, and they're dependent on this coffee. Yeah. Should they really make the switch? And there I was in Kenya saying, no, keep the SL28 right now because Ruiru 11 is not the answer. And yeah, I got into a lot of trouble at that point.
Well, historically, I mean, history probably proves you correct, but like you said, it's totally understandable why producers felt compelled to make that move at the time.
Yes. Again, these small farmers, I mean, like around the world.
I'm just making sure that I've got this receiver on. It's on. Sorry, I get anxiety about that. I've had so many good podcasts ruined by audio issues. Pardon me, continue.
Yeah. So, like around the world, farmers don't drink their own coffee at all. They have no clue what they're selling, what they're doing, or anything else. So they are completely prone to being, when the authorities say go left, they go left, or go right, or whatever it is. And so this was the case. So bit by bit, these older varieties, not just SL28 and SL34, but earlier varieties that came to Kenya, were slowly replaced by Ruiru 11. And more recently by another new variety, Batian, right? And again, they are more climate resilient. They have certain problems as well, which is this is not the time to go into that. But they don't. It's clear that the Ruiru 11 does not have that flavor note, and I'm not familiar enough with the Batian to say. But in any case, most Kenya now that I'm tasting is simply not got that blackberry note, or barely any at all. So here we are getting it from Mamuto every single year. The thought was it was all SL28. Then we had one or two beans actually checked out for their DNA, and found out that it wasn't SL28 at all. It was some earlier variety that had been there that may have formed the basis for producing this new variety, but wasn't it. And so we sent out 10 beans to be sampled. And this is by Christophe Montagnon in France, who does much of the testing for World Coffee Research and other companies. And we found out that there was really no SL28. There was SL34, but other varieties too, that came in previous decades, very early on, from Yemen and from Ethiopia. And it was this combination. Christophe commented that the good news was that this shows resilience. If one variety growing on your farm is reactive to a particular attack, the other variety might not be. And so there is a certain goodness about having a multiple a combination of varieties on that farm, right? So we are now about to test further and to find out throughout Mamuto what are the proportions? How much SL34 is there? Is there SL28, and how much of that is there? And so on. And we're going to be as well cupping samples from individual trees, which we started doing this year by picking 15 different trees, picked at random in one of the small lots that grow on that farm.
And that's a painstakingly specific task to do as well.
It sure is.
Yes.
So we're going to be looking for grant money as we speak.
All right, so we're trying to raise some grant money. We'll whenever you're trying to get that sorted, I would love to be able to contribute by trying to branch out. And so please reach out to me, and we'll do our best to make that happen. So, but why do you care? What motivates you to do this? Because it's not something you'll immediately, you're motivated by different things than money. But why do you care?
Yeah, money, we're all motivated by money because we all have to live, eat, and provide for our children and so on. So that's critical, but it is not the only driver. And perhaps a more powerful driver for me is the need to share what really excites me. So I see a beautiful rainbow or a scene out there, I'm going to be grabbing you and say, look at that. And I really want to get you involved.
But it's interesting because I asked you before, and it's a question I ask a few people. Gun to your head, what's the last coffee on earth you're having? And I've got a pretty specific answer, well, relatively speaking. It's probably a washed Ethiopian or washed Kenyan espresso.
Yeah.
To me, that's the apex coffee experience. And I think you've tried too many coffees to even begin to answer that question.
Well,
but
if it would be between the geisha and the Kenya, whether it's SL28 or some variation therein, right? I mean, they're so different from each other. To me, the great geishas are like the finest white wines. They've got that florality to them, right? And that's what that coffee's all about. Mamuto and the great Kenya coffees really remind me more of a Bordeaux in terms of a wine analogy.
Big, bold red.
They have bolder notes. They're deeper. The flavor in your mouth just coats your mouth in a way that geisha does not do, or any other variety that I've had. Only from Kenya that I've had that experience.
If geisha's classical music, Kenya might be, I don't know, rock.
They're both classical to my mind.
Yeah, well...
But yeah. I have lots of classical analogies as well. Well, they're going to come in this talk.
Well, let's rattle them off as you see fit throughout the podcast. But I guess we probably don't talk enough about eras of coffee, really, because you've seen a bunch.
Yeah.
We're talking about Kenya now, and your love of that over the years. We probably reached a point of. It was obviously an excellent discovery in 2004 with the advent of geisha in Panama.
Yes.
And it was it Price Peterson that was the name of the gentleman? So Rachel Peterson's father. David Peterson.
Yes.
That introduced that.
Yes.
And I'm really curious to know, so that's 22 years ago now.
Yeah.
What was it like at the time and through George Howell's eyes?
It actually proved my whole point. Back in 1999, 2000, when Cup of Excellence was just beginning, this whole idea of we're doing a competition in that country to discover what potential that country has, and to allow farmers to become known to roasters, and roasters to become known to farmers, and to create a community that way. And I remember having an argument with a Costa Rican lady who was selling green coffee from Panama and Central America in general, and her saying, well, Panama coffee has a particular flavor identity, and any other, and if the coffee doesn't have that flavor note, then it shouldn't be in the competition. And I'm saying, on the contrary, what if there's a variety out there that we don't know in Panama? We need to discover it. And bingo, along comes La Esmeralda in 2004 and actually does it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the whole point, is discovery. It was amazing in 1999 to have cuppers, roasters, come from around the world in Brazil. And Brazil at that time was looked down upon as maybe specialty and maybe not deserving of that name, right? And we're all very serious, and we're cupping in a lab for 5 days straight, Monday through Friday. And, you know, only certain high-scoring coffees make it to the next round multiple times. It was arduous. And at the end, you've got the 10 best. And suddenly, nobody's a businessman anymore. We're all kids, right? Looking for the best. Wow, what's that? Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Right? What a change that took place. That's what was so special. And, you know, Panama, again, proved that point even more. But we discovered, I don't know if I'm still on the same topic, but we discovered regions that were looked down upon later. I mean, Guatemala, Huehuetenango, which Elin Herto made quite famous.
Yep.
Winning first prize over and over again.
Yes.
Elin Herto, Huehuetenango was considered a backwater. And suddenly it comes up.
It's like if you say Guatemala, it's probably one of the things that instantly comes up. Yeah.
Exactly right. Whereas before it was only Antigua. So it was an incredibly important. It is one among now many ways, but it was a door that opened us to single farm coffees.
For me, since I've been in the coffee industry, Panama and Geisha and Colombia and all that sort of stuff, it's established, right? And it's for you, it's something that's happened along the way, and it's got me thinking, and I kind of want to represent everyone listening here, asking this question. What have you seen in your lifetime of coffee that has just popped up that perhaps we never consider as the context of, to give you an example, Panama, like it's always been, I've been alive since 1994. You've been in coffee for almost twice as long as I've been alive. What have you seen in your 50 years plus in coffee that you didn't quite know would happen, and that is of significant consequence now?
Yeah, that's there's a lot. One of the things, this may not answer your question specifically, but to me, one of the great learning points was in Cup of Excellence, and what I'd been finding out just before that. I mean, I learned to cup coffee 13 years after starting the business. Right before that, I was brewing, over a single cup and tasting coffees that way. I learned to cup visiting Costa Rica and Kenya and really grasping that. When I cupped in those last years at Coffee Connection, especially the Kenyans and so on, you'd cup over a long period of time. When Cup of Excellence happened in Brazil in 1999, I am telling cuppers, we're not going to cup this in just 10 minutes flat. You've got these 10 coffees, and we're going to spend an hour cupping those same 10 coffees. And you would have old-timers who would say to us, I cupped it within the first 10 minutes, and that's the best coffee. And I'm going, no, that's the racing horse that's ahead before you got to the finish line. And one of the discoveries was how long it takes to understand that a coffee, as it cools, undergoes one change after another after another. And a great coffee is the one that remains sweet to the very end, room temperature, right? That's a discovery, because now you're realizing all these coffees that taste the same. I mean, you're in Brazil. The process is the same. The varieties are the same. These are delicate differences. When you start with hot coffee, 10 different coffees, they're all alike. And as it cools, some start to drop away and others stay. And that in itself was remarkable, because now you're realizing that it's not the first sip. And all too often, and I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I do that, all too often cupping is like picking a color swatch for painting your house.
What does that mean?
You have no idea what your house is going to look like
Yeah.
by picking the paint. The cupping does not tell you everything, right? Unless you're going to do it very deeply over time, right? So that's that kind of discovery that I was making. And then, the first discovery, well before geisha, was the pacamara.
Pacamara, and was that was significant at the time?
It was in Guatemala and El Salvador. The pacamara suddenly started winning first place.
Yep.
Again, we were discovering the varieties, and we were discovering also that certain farms might win once and not again. Other farms would win over and over again. Like one I keep bringing up is El Injerto. Another one is El Socorro, also from
Fantastic
Guatemala.
farm in Guatemala.
Right, and they won over and over again. That starts to tell you this guy wasn't lucky. This guy is profoundly involved in producing high quality and is driven to do that.
It's
right.
This topic kind of elicits in me a question that, again, in the time that you've been in coffee, you would have seen so much change. And a lot of that would be to do with technology as well. So, La Marzocco is now essentially supercomputers. You can calibrate them to do so many different things and connect them to your phone.
Yeah.
What's it like seeing that come and go, and with the historical background as well, because you're one of the people that's helped build the foundations of the entire industry.
Right.
And so we have so many people like yourself to thank for all that hard work that you did that was not glorious at the time, and was probably, very painstaking. But what's it like seeing all that evolution over time?
It's been exciting. It was exciting from the very beginning. It may not have been glorious, but it did feel glorious at the time. I mean, when we opened up Coffee Connection, people were streaming into our place because we were so much better than what was around them. So I've always been very lucky to receive tremendous, enthusiasm from people relating. The technology, I think, has been particularly important with espresso.
Yes.
As it's really improved and it's nailing getting those notes proper, and the sweetness and so on. It's not quite as much with a drip. With us, we're using the La Marzocco systems, right, as well. For brewing the coffee. For some reason, I can't remember the name of the system, but it's
Linear PB.
No,
Modbar.
Modbar. Right. So with the Modbar and Chemex, that's funny because it was a podcast with Lee Safar and Tim Wendelboe. A couple of months ago or whatever, and he going, Chemex? You're using Chemex?
Yeah. A lot of people tend to throw shade at the Chemex, but
it's amazing. It really is. We really struggled with the Modbar to get it right. That's another issue as well. Very tricky. We finally did, and the system that worked best was with the Chemex filters, and so there we're able to produce single pours that are really accurate and very consistent.
So this is making filter coffee off an espresso machine kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a real innovation. And you can get it. It's still in its beginning stages. And Marzocco has spent a lot more time on the espresso machine part than they have on that piece. I hope they really zero in on it because it has tremendous potential. Espresso and drip, we're more oriented towards drip than we are towards espresso. Drip to me is like a wine, and with espresso, that's more like a brandy. Right? Two entirely different things, but both extraordinary.
Yeah.
Giving you completely different sensory expressions, right? For me, drip is ideal for bringing out all the sweetness and the different layers of flavor that exist over a approximately 20-minute period when it's hot, where you pick up the aromas, and then as it starts to cool, you start to discover the flavors, and it's like a door slowly opening into one flavor after another, right? With high notes at first and then more body taking over as it cools. It's a whole process, right? Very much like drinking a wine as it opens up as well, all right? So...
Is there any technology that's coming about or anything that kind of concerns you? So,
a lot.
What is it?
Just to finish that note back with the mod bar, what's nice is that it allows the barista to really work speaking, communicating, and all the rest, and move things around much more than by standing there pouring for 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
So you're somewhat of an advocate for using these technologies to kind of...
I think it can be done, period. No problem at all. If you've got a family or whatever, there are now automatic machines like the Ratio 6 that's coming out that are really extraordinary. You can make the same pot over and over again, and you don't have to worry about whether you went around in a circle 5 times as opposed to 6 or whatever to get there, right? So just wanted to finish that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And on technology that concerns you?
Technology, you're seeing a lot of that, and so many. Mainly the technology worries me more at the farm level right now regarding co-fermented coffees.
So you're anti-co-ferment?
Yeah, I am. To my mind, farmers don't get paid enough. One, I think, and this is me maybe being unfair, that this is a way to get a higher price using and not having to spend the kind of labor and intensity of involvement for quality, right? Here I am saying you can do better with the craft and doing it very precisely and so on. Here, you get an okay coffee. You can add pineapple into the fermentation process. It adds a storyline to it and so on. But I don't think it doesn't improve the coffee. It just changes it, often for the worse.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, I will disclose, and as many people that listen to this podcast know as well, my business in Australia, we sell co-ferment coffee. And,
but you're drinking it, I think, espresso-wise.
Mostly, yes.
So that's interesting, because I'm not testing it espresso-wise.
Yeah.
So I'm the drip drinker.
Yes.
Talking to the espresso drinker.
Well, yeah.
Two entirely different experiences.
We do it like a little bit of...
Yeah.
It makes a fantastic cold brew. So I think cold brew is one of those...
That's another problem that I have, is cold brew.
Well, let's talk about it, because cold brew, I think, is and please, feel free, we're comfortable enough, disagree with me as much as you like.
Yep.
But the cold brew, I think, is a heinously poorly produced product. If I'm to be honest.
That's fair.
And one of our most popular drinks, we make a cold brew that we snap chill, but we brew it using like a lychee co-ferment blended with some other coffee from Colombia. And it produces a very drinkable, refreshing, sugar-free caffeinated product.
Yeah.
And on the consumer end, I understand your concerns on the production side. On the consumer end, in a way, it's never really been easier to kind of attract a customer.
Yeah. It's good to me, it's good for the roaster and the retailer, not so good for the farmer in the long run. Because there was an Instagram just recently by a roaster here in the States who's cutting up mango and saying, hey, co-ferment, I can do it better here. It's fresh. Look at this. Look at the mango. It's all fresh. Flavor's better. I'm suggesting that the farmer isn't going to be the winner in this. It goes back to the retailer who can do similar coffees better because it's fresher and more here.
So that's leaning more into infusion, right? So this is post-processing addition.
Both.
So, but I share your concern legitimately, because what kind of world or industry are we trying to build if we're encouraging everything to be a co-ferment, everything to be an anaerobic, everything to be one of these non-terroir driven coffees?
Well, now you're into soft drinks.
Yeah.
Okay, that to me is the danger. I mean, I am in love with coffee because I blow my mind over these beans, these seeds that when roasted and properly processed and so on, have these incredible complex flavor notes. And no, I don't want anything interfering with the miracle of what can come out of what was grown from a plant.
Yes.
To me, that's what coffee's all about. So any alteration of that bothers the hell out of me.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the value of coffee is increasing a lot in the modern world, particularly these micro lots and things like that.
Yeah, they are.
We've got emerging middle classes in Asia and the Middle East that are mass consumers of coffee.
Yeah.
And in an international marketplace, pardon me, it's far more competitive, as you and I were discussing off air, it is far more competitive to buy good quality coffee these days. And it's far harder to find as well. So in a way, I'm encouraged by that, the economics of that hopefully we can preserve, conventionally grown, really good quality single origin coffee.
Yeah, and I think we have a long ways to go. I mean, essentially, we stopped, I can't say that. There is a tendency now to stop seeing how much further we can bring out what's in these special varieties and these soils and terroirs in order to take a detour and produce these flavors artificially by adding other things into it. And that's a concern for me. Back with the beginnings of the beginnings of Cup of Excellence, there was this, how far can we take these varieties? And, for several years, the quality of the washed coffees were getting better. What could this lead to? And then you had the Geisha discovery and the Pacamara before it and other varieties. Now there's Pink Bourbon and so on that are being found. That's what's exciting to me. The natural, hey, I don't need your adding strawberry to it when suddenly up comes a Pink Bourbon and blows my mind. Yeah. With florals that are very different from the Geisha.
Yeah.
That's what I'm after, and these detours to me are leading away from that. But again, farmers have to be paid more. Yeah. For them to develop this further. So I see coffee starting to bloom, if you will, with Cup of Excellence and Panama later on. And now the blooming is being replaced with outside things.
Yeah, well, I do kind of feel like perhaps this is just my skeptical, spicy view, but I feel like the Cup of Excellence has lost relevance in the mainstream of specialty coffee recently.
Sure it has. It's a lot noisier now.
Yeah, but also
a lot of things happening and being talked about.
But I think that higher echelon of farmer, they no longer need to really worry about competing in one of these things. And for some of them, they might see it as a bit of a brand risk in a way. For example, like we've established, the international marketplace for coffee now is more competitive and people are paying higher prices for that upper echelon of coffee, the luxury category, if you will.
All I can say is with Cup of Excellence, thank God, El Injerto and El Socorro, among two, didn't believe that and kept winning first place.
But this is now, like let's say like 2024 onwards.
And now the conversations aren't so much the great quality of the coffee, often as it is the unique flavor notes of anaerobic this and that, and not necessarily the coffee, bringing out the coffee itself.
But this is kind of where it all leads to for me is that some of these farmers might perhaps they see it as a risk to enter this competition and not win. Maybe they see that as somewhat of a brand risk because we love in society to rank things, have a number, pit them against each other, but there's probably not really a necessity for a lot of farmers to do it anymore because they'll sell it, or they can have their own auction which is becoming increasingly more frequent.
We will see that. I mean, again, there's a lot of small farmers out there that have no voice at all. One of the problems, to my mind, in Cup of Excellence was that farms that won Cup of Excellence would repeatedly win. For many years, I've wanted to see that, and you start to see Cup of Excellence move in that direction now. I'll just say what I wanted, which is El Injerto is a Grand Cru coffee. It should be recognized as such. And then it should have its own website. That's where I wanted to see Cup of Excellence go, this is Grand Cru, here's their website, go there, right? El Injerto, sponsor smaller farmers. Help them develop techniques and so on to win. So that there is an escalator that can bring them up to the attention of us buyers.
There are some examples of that, I would say, though, in the current time. So you and I were talking about Bolivian coffee production earlier. And
there are many more. There are many more ways to find acceptance and a name, and Cup of Excellence is one of them.
Yes.
Right. That's all I can say. I value Cup of Excellence because it does allow us to. It does keep your eyes on, and the same thing with the Panama thing, where they rejected I think it was a co-fermented coffee.
It appeared they deemed it to...
yes, because it wasn't about the coffee anymore.
Yes.
And so that's a role that both the Panama competition and Cup of Excellence play by keeping it focused on the real thing.
Yes.
Again, my fear is this may bring farmers money now, but when everybody's doing it, I'm sorry, they're going to be just another commodity.
But that's a fear I have as well, and I've mentioned on this podcast. Say, for example, let's apply it to co-fermentation. If everyone thinks that that's what they need to do to make money, but then the market loses interest in it later on, then they're
out. And that's not, I don't believe. The other thing to understand to me is coffee is 500 approximately years old. That's it. Wine and tea are thousands of years old. And they were both allowed to develop over hundreds and thousands of years. There was no rush. There was no Instagram, TikTok, none of this speed and everything else of, oh, wait a minute, let's do this novelty, oh, that novelty, and then the next thing. The TikTok world.
Yes.
And so what happened to tea? The Chinese developed the most exquisite flavor notes, florality beyond belief.
Yep.
You start to explore tea.
Pu'er tea.
You name it. And the same thing again with wine. It had time. Burgundy, convents developing this. And there was no marketing issue. And so there they really developed things that are glorious.
Yeah.
I'm afraid coffee is at a disadvantage that way because of all these interruptions and changes and so on. Much like a lot of the world right now is.
Yes.
Right. So that's a major issue for me.
Let's. I want to shift to preservation and storing memories of sorts.
Yeah.
And the influence you've had on me personally came mostly from freezing coffee. And so I explained to you that I used to have a business called Sub-Zero Coffee, and I'm very interested in pursuing that kind of thing again.
Yeah.
But your application of freezing coffee, as I've learned today, goes far beyond just microlots. So you're freezing literally absolutely
everything we do.
Everything. So
we're freezing containers.
So when a container lands at port, where to from there?
It comes straight up to us, and not up to us. It comes straight to a warehouse that freezes food in general.
Okay, so you've got pallets of coffee inside giant industrial freezers.
That's correct.
And then when you want it, you
we pull out 2 weeks at a time.
Okay.
So we in our warehouse, in regular room temperature, we only have a 2 weeks inventory.
And why do you do that?
Once the coffee's been frozen, as you let it come back to room temperature, the window that you have for before it starts to age is shortened. So we're aiming to keep what we're freezing it for that way, right? So that's the way it works. Although we did find 1-year-old coffee that I forget why, but we put a bunch of green beans in a glass of water, and they sprouted.
What?
They sprouted.
Right.
So I was really surprised.
Yeah,
I've been always told that the embryo's gone, dead, everything's gone, and here they were sprouting. I have not repeated this, right? But I have to do that.
Yeah. It's fascinating, and going back to the preservation and stuff like that. We just did a cupping earlier, or tasting, and you had side by side aged 1 year's harvest from a coffee from Costa Rica. Pardon me, compared to the fresh. And the difference, like I'm aware of bagginess and aging coffee and all that sort of thing, but I've never seen it contrasted so starkly.
Right. It's my program of immunization, as I say. We take from the same region, in this case a Dota from Costa Rica, really high quality, the same coffee, and we leave a bag in its grain pro here in the warehouse for the year, and the other one is frozen. And then we roast them simultaneously, so they're same day and everything else. So the only difference is that one was room temperature, the other was frozen. And the difference, as you notice, was night and day, right? Radical difference. So too much, quote, specialty coffee is sold when it's completely gone.
Yeah.
And aged.
Amen.
Exactly right. And that is a generic flavor note that completely takes over and smothers whatever was in the coffee.
Yeah, no,
to begin with.
I hate it. But it seems like you're taking all necessary steps to minimize the chances of that happening here, which is...
As much as possible. That's exactly right. The key now, that's a real concern, is getting the coffee as fresh as possible from source.
Yep.
that becomes trickier and trickier. We have Ethiopians that, leave, then you've got the Suez Canal that's shut down.
It's always one.
Right, which all roasters know this story.
Yeah.
Right, so it makes it through, or it makes it through the Suez Canal and then sits in some European port, in one case for a month, and we couldn't get the Ethiopian out. And then finally arrives to New Jersey, and it's like June, July, and you got a heat wave. That's scary stuff.
Yeah, and we experience it a lot in Australia because,
Right.
we get the super hot weather and...
Same thing.
And I don't think a lot of roasters are really aware of the impacts of storage like that.
It's huge. So, when you get a coffee like that, we still will freeze it because it won't stop the aging. Once these enzymatic changes start to happen in the bean, they're going to continue even in normal freezing. I don't know what would happen at 100 below, right? But in terms of typical freezer space.
Yeah.
So they will age, but much more slowly than would they if in a room temperature, in a regular warehouse, right? So there are all these other issues as well, but the difference still is night and day.
I'm working on I'm intending on competing in the barista competitions this year in Australia, and I'm working on a theme of, if I was to condense it down to as short as I can, it's kind of what is the coffee shop of the future?
Yeah.
And to if I can just go on a 1-minute preamble here, I think that with the advent of technology, the barista role is going to change enormously, and you kind of alluded to it before with your mod bar anecdote. Yeah. And I think the future of a barista, a specialty barista, is serving luxury coffee, and their ability is, or what separates them from other baristas is their sommelier-like knowledge of coffee.
Yeah.
And in 25 years from now, I think the appreciation for that will be even higher.
Oh yeah,
because as we advance so rapidly into this AI technology, post-scarcity world, what actually will become more valuable, in my opinion, is that connective barista experience. And so 25 years from now, when we've got hover cars and all that kind of crap, going to a barista who has that library of information that's within his brain, not on a laptop or whatever, that is going to be the apex experience, and perhaps even serving coffees from an age like now.
Sommeliers of the future is the way I see it. They can introduce you to different coffees and tell you what to look for and so on. But there will come a point where you'll be able to brew almost without any human involvement.
We're pretty much there now.
We're very close. We're very close. That's exactly right. How much further you can go? Yeah, you're right.
But that's not what the customer values, is it? Because we could all be selling coffee out of robot arms, but the public will reject it.
You want the human touch. End of story.
Exactly.
I hate it when there's this machine arm that comes out and pours a cup. I mean, forget it. I'm there. I mean, I can't tell you. With Coffee Connection, how many people come to me now and say, I met my wife at the Coffee Connection.
Yeah.
People are conversing. Like wine, coffee, tea. You converse over it. You drink it and get inspiration from it and keep going. That's a bit what technology is bringing to us as well, is the computers and all the rest of it that separate us from one another.
I have to potentially, maybe you won't like me after we discuss this, but to an extent you kind of do it as well. But I do this thing in Australia called pre-batching espresso. So
I've heard of this.
So we're making espresso, and it's dialed in the same way it would usually be, and it's strictly for milk drinks, right? So I'm not doing it for a black coffee, but and what we can do is we can make a latte in 10 seconds. And
I got it right.
And so, and I noticed you were doing some stuff with Cometeer as well, but there are these.
It started here.
But there exists this hyper efficient way of making coffee.
Yes,
it is here now, but as I'm learning,
it's not perfected. Yes,
it's not perfected, but as I'm learning, it's supplementary it's not something that's going to take over because again, and as I'm finding, and I already my hypothesis stood true, is that the public will reject total all-out automation. There needs to be.
I hope so. Yes.
And there needs to be. A lot of people think I'm trying to destroy the industry, and I'm not. Just like it's coupled with the human interactions.
It's critical. The communication between us is absolutely critical, right? So I couldn't agree with you more. Going back, though, to all the milk drinks and so on, to me, that's another area where we might disagree. To me, it's all about black coffee.
Yeah. Which is enormously more popular in America than it is where I'm from.
Oh, it's not at all. Frankly, at least in the Northeast, I would say 15 to 20% of people drink black coffee, at best.
Really?
Yeah.
And what is? Would you say the others are lattes, or is it a bit of creamer?
Lattes is number one. Period. It overwhelms anything else. And then you get cappuccino and so on. And so we sell that because otherwise, I mean, if I'm younger and I've got a date and whatever, the date may love the cafe latte. I've got to serve a cafe latte that she or he's going to love, so that the black coffee drinker gets to drink the black coffee. But that's how I see it, right?
I'm looking at a classic poster right now that says in big bold white text, Frappuccino. Yeah. And for those that are listening at home and may not be aware, you are the creator of the Frappuccino.
Creator of the name only.
Creator of the name only.
And that goes to a person who worked for me, Andrew Frank, who came up with the name. Right? So,
did you held the intellectual property on it, or?
Yeah.
And
the minute he said Frappuccino, we all went, absolutely.
And
right. The drink itself was something that was being talked about many years before Frappuccino ever came up on the scene. Right. It was tested as iced cappuccino at, I think it was the Olympics in 1994 in Los Angeles, and very successfully so. And I remember reading that and saying, boy, that would be good to have, because our summer sales are a drag.
Yeah.
And that would really build it. And I ain't going to find my great quality if I don't have the money to buy it.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, it was on my mind. And then I visited Seattle at a time when Howard Schultz had just come on board and stated, we're going to take over the U.S. And I'm going, okay, I got to check this out, because sooner or later, they're coming my way. So I went there to check out what Starbucks was doing and learned a lot in terms of efficiency of how to handle a bar and espresso service and so on. But this other person, and I forget his name, very valuable, gave me a tour. He had a cafe as well in one of the suburbs and gave me a tour. And we stopped at an espresso place, which was later bought by Starbucks. And they were serving in a granita machine what would come to be Frappuccino from our point of view. It was the iced cappuccino. And it was great. And I knew then and there that, what I've been reading about years earlier, here it is. We've got to do it.
So you mentioned you've name dropped the Coffee Connection a couple times, which is your kind of OG venture in Boston, which was at some stage acquired by Starbucks.
Yes, in '94.
How did that come up?
It was a logical, looking backwards at it, it was kind of logical. We were the only game in town in Boston. I mean, right up until 1994, there simply were no other roastery cafes. I know Green Mountain looked at us. I mean, they were right after that, they developed Keurig and all of that, the K-Cup and so on. But they were putting up cafes on the fringes, but not into Boston. So we had approximately 15 cafes in greater Boston and the suburbs in the key locations. So when Starbucks was already on the East Coast, they saw us as either the major competitor or a potential gain for them. They came to us a few years before the actual sale took place. And I never say, I'm always interested in knowing who the other side is, even if I see them as an enemy. I surely will want to meet with them, talk to them, and understand better who I'm dealing with. I asked Howard right off the bat, is this a real estate deal that you're interested in? And he was very honest. He said, yeah, it is. And I said, well, I'm not interested. And then there was a second time, and then I said no. And then the third time was they were at our doorstep. They were in Washington, D.C., they were headed to New York, they were clearly coming into Boston. They had gotten one place already, and they connected with our venture capitalists who had just invested in us and proposed again. And they agreed to allowing 2/3 of the cafes, the Coffee Connections, to remain for 2 years as Coffee Connections, and they would support that, right? And that's what allowed me to then agree, with me hoping that there'd be the legacy of the Coffee Connection to continue. That didn't work out. I mean, at the end of 2 years, they changed them to Starbucks, and I was thrilled they did, because they did not have the wherewithal to really do what I was doing with Coffee Connection. So it was a dead issue.
So if I can ask you this, I'm just going to wait.
I did sell. One, I had 6 kids, all going towards college age at the time. And the other piece was, now I had venture capital, and you have to produce. There's an ROI in front of you. Now you're dealing with growth and all the different efficiencies and all those issues, and it was taking me away from what I was discovering. Cupping coffee, how many other flavor notes could be produced by, all of that was still in front of me.
So it probably came at a time where it was an opportunity for you to, secure your family and all that sort of stuff.
That's exactly right.
And pursue what you were really interested in.
I didn't know it at the time, but very quickly so. I kept my sample roaster. I got another one, an electric one in my house. I started sample roasting there just for fun. And then I joined the International Coffee Relations for SC, Specialty Coffee Association of America, and became more and more involved. Then I was invited to create the first cupping form for SCAA, which I developed. And then I was invited to Brazil to work on the gourmet project, which finally led to Cup of Excellence. So I was drawn back into it. And that was just, what an extraordinary learning process that was.
You explained to me that you're in the process of writing a book, and you've had a lot of people heckling you to do so for some time.
Right here in my own company.
It's, I feel like once your life concludes, you looking at it from my lens, you'll be able to sit back and say, look, life well lived. You've achieved a lot, and you've got to do a lot of incredible things, and started a family. You effectively ticked all the boxes. When you're writing this book, what will you write about?
Well, that's interesting. Because it's certainly about my experience in the coffee world, from where I came from and how it developed. The age of flavored coffees in the early 80s, we didn't do that at all. And then the changes that take, all of that I really want to tell. And about the people and just the extraordinary relationships that I had, and how many people were so helpful in developing this, right? All of that, but also I want it to be something that is very reader-friendly for people to understand how coffee's developed, right, from seed to cup, right? So that's part of it. And how I weave my storyline in with that is one of the things I'm working with, trying to figure out, right? Where do I bring up the fact that the coffee beans inside a fruit, that you have to remove it, that it's very delicate to do, that it can be done this way or that way. All of this, how do I illustrate that? How do I make it physical?
Are you writing it yourself?
Yeah.
That's a big undertaking.
It's critical. You know, I have my own way of expressing myself. But I don't want to lose that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the like reading and writing, like literacy skills are declining, it would seem, because the necessity to read is almost gone. Like,
yeah, well, the book certainly will be something I would put out a verbal edition of it too. I would read my own book.
Yeah.
And put it out that way as well.
Well, I look forward to reading and hearing it, George.
Yeah, and then, you know, the other thing is bringing in right now the kind of PowerPoint presentations I do that people have found who have come to those very valuable in terms of understanding what it is. But I want to make it, so far, there's a lot of good stuff that's been done, but I think in some senses, in some ways, I can make it more user-friendly still.
There's something you said within that answer that I just want to touch on, and you know, it had to do with people you've met along the way. And we live in an age of chaos really now, and you know, disinformation.
Yes.
But still, you know, even me traveling right now, meeting people, which I strongly suggest you save your money and do. Yeah. It's so much more valuable than a car or an Xbox. But I just want to encourage people to have faith in that and connecting with people person to person.
Yeah.
It goes beyond a screen. Like, I just love podcasting with people in person. And I'm sure there are some amazing people that I've met in recent years that want to help, that they help me just because they want to see me do well. And
that's exactly right. That has been my experience in coffee from day one.
Just genuine, incredible people that you've got to go out and meet, and connect with, and have a beer with, and rub shoulders with. I really want to encourage people that listen to this podcast to go and do that, because I've been such a beneficiary of it, and I'm only 31, and you're 81, and you know, like.
It started for me in 1975 when I opened Coffee Connection, me, my wife, and our partner. And there we are, overwhelmed with people coming in and people getting behind the bar and doing the dishes for us because we didn't have anybody, and refusing any kind of payment at all.
Well, I had Kai Jansen.
Talk about.
I had Kai Jansen, the Panama coffee producer, come and help me at one of my pop-ups. I was struggling. He goes, hey, dude, can I come help? You know.
This has been one of the great experiences that I've experienced over and over again at different levels.
I just really wanted to touch on that and get your thoughts. And, you know, to summarize the end of this kind of book topic, like, you don't strike me as an overly egotistical guy. You're quite humble. You're pretty keen to kick back and do your thing. But within a coffee context, what would you like to be remembered for?
I like what it is, that I opened doors to the perception and appreciation of coffee, and that I opened doors for coffee growers to some degree. Not enough, but to some degree to allow them to continue to support their families. I do. I don't know why, but I flash on seeing a tiny farmer in Peru who had to walk like a kilometer or more into the woods and into that farm. And I'm having a cup of coffee that he brewed, which was rare right off the start. This is in the year 2000. And I'm going, wow, this is really good. And him saying, yeah, I drink only my best coffee. Never heard that before.
Yeah, well, it's not something you'd hear today. Like, it's keeping it for themselves or keeping it within the country is very infrequent.
Yeah, so there are farmers who are driven to do extraordinary stuff, even if they're not getting fucking paid for it.
And so you want to be remembered for opening the door to them. Yeah. And that's an excellent, yeah, and you will be remembered for that. So, and freezing coffee and a bunch of other things too. So
yeah.
I feel like you're getting quite emotional talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
Why is that?
You know, that's the source of what drives me.
Well, I mean, you've achieved all of it and then some, and I know there's a lot more work to do, but there's a lot of us that'll carry it on. And
yeah, be careful. The older you get, the more emotional you can get.
You're jerking the heartstrings for me here, George. You might get me crying, but you know, just again to round off the point, like we have so much to thank you for in the industry, and people like yourself, and there's been many others, but you've laid out the foundations and you've put the heavy weight on your shoulders, and you've built an industry that we all get to just enjoy today. But you know, you were traveling without technology, without phones, doing this hard yakka.
Yeah, with my camera and my little tape recorder.
Yeah, and you know, you and a select few have built the industry we get to enjoy today. So on behalf of everyone, thank you.
Well, I beg people in the business and as drinkers to be curious.
Yeah.
There's nothing more important than being curious.
We're
right.
Amen.
And learning.
We're nearing the end of the podcast now, and just a general question, not related to coffee. What's the key to a good life?
Oh, God. It's one, to be lucky to be able to live a good life for many of us.
Take a drink. Take a drink. You know, you're right.
Not happening, right? So
it's
and you know, to look for communication and relationships long term, to stick with it despite the downs that exist as well as the ups.
Why is this making you so emotional talking about that in particular?
I don't know if I can even answer that. You know, it's how I feel.
Well, I mean, I think you're incredibly right. Like, you know, my mum passed away a few years ago. Unfortunately, got dementia.
Yeah.
Last 10 years of her life, I couldn't say a word. You know,
Right.
forgot who I was, and
Yeah.
and you know, you're exactly right. And you know, I wish she got to live to 81. And but again, I think to appreciate the sun, you've got to know what rain is. And you know, Queen Elizabeth said, you know,
That's well said.
grief is the price of grief is the cost of love. I'm butchering that quote.
No, that's exactly right.
So
It's important to experience these things and understand that.
Yeah.
You know, and build our understanding as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, and you know, you've got an incredible thing going. We met your daughter before, that's now running the company and doing an incredible job.
Yep.
So it looks like you're passing on your legacy well.
Yeah, I wish I could introduce you to other people like our COO and stuff, but you know, because it's a number of key people. Who, it's not one person alone. It's the group of people that work with you, that support you in ways you could never dream of.
Yeah. Well, final thing is, have you got a question for me?
No, I think I'm a little too emotional right now to have any questions other than just to...
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. But look, we'll wrap it up here. Finish on a positive note. And again, like just on behalf of everyone, and this has been a legendary tour for me. A huge opportunity. So again, thanks for having me, and thanks for taking the time to be so honest and open with our listeners. So we'll wrap it up there. Ladies and gentlemen, George Howell from George Howell Coffee in Acton, Massachusetts. We are just out of Boston, but this is going to be an incredible podcast, and it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. The same, Kirk.
Let's go have some turkey sandwiches. We got some turkey sandwiches coming.
All right.
Wrapping it up, everyone. Thank you.
You can either listen to the third Oatly ad of the day about how you can go to oatly.com and find recipes for the amazing drinks, or read the Future of Taste report, It's from the Future, or learn about the sustainability work, or you can press the 15-sec forward button on your pod playing device. It's totally up to you.